Very good morning to each and every student, beta. So, from today's session, formally, we are starting chapter number 11, the last chapter in your syllabus, standard costing. Okay. I use the word formally we are starting. It means we in the last session of 25th December or 27th December, 27 January, we have already started few basic of intercosting. Okay. So I want to know, beta, how many students have not joined the 27 January session related to the basic of CA inter or standard costing, so that I can revise those concepts in detail right now in the coming 5 to 7 minutes. Naveen Kumar, good morning, beta. Nisha, good morning. ऐसे कितने स्टूडेंट्स है बेटा जिन्होंने 27 जनवरी का लेक्चर अटेंड नहीं किया था? Because in that particular lecture, we have covered some basic of standard costing. In case you are not able to attend that lecture, I can revise for you the things which we have studied in that lecture related to standard costing in the coming 5 to 7 minutes, beta. Please revert fast so that we can proceed further, beta. चलिए तो सबसे पहले बेसिक में what we have studied that whenever we have to find out the variances, undoubtedly actual is to be compared. Now, important thing is to be kept in mind whether actual data is to be compared with budgeted one or is to be compared with standard one. We don't have any choice. There is a fixed logic regarding that, when actual will be compared with budget and when actual will be compared with standard. Okay. So, first of all, when actual will be compared with budget, the logic is very simple, beta. Whenever you are finding out the time-dependent variances, please repeat with me, beta, what I have said. Time-dependent variances. Can you please recall what are those two time-dependent variances? Those two time-dependent variances are whenever you are required to find out the fixed overhead variance or the sales variance. Both are time-dependent variance. The budget of both will be prepared based on time, not on production. So whenever we will find out the fixed overhead variance or the sales variance, we will compare the actual detail with budgeted one. But when you are finding out any variances related to material, related to labor, related to variable overhead, this material, labor, and variable overhead are not time dependent, they are production dependent. Higher the production, higher will be the cost, and that too in direct proportion. So whenever we are about to find out the material variance, the labor variance, and the variable overhead variance, we have to compare the actual data with the standard one. Okay, beta, this is the first and the foremost golden rule while you solve the standard costing question. Without the knowledge, without the application of this particular concept, definitely there will be issue. The second, so for what's the difference between the word budget and standard? Can both are interchangeable? We can say yes, we can say no. Yes, we can say yes, we can say no, that budget and standard are interchangeable. Budget and standard are not interchangeable. When budget and standard are interchangeable, the logic is if they are not expressed in totality. अगर हम budget और standard को totality में नहीं बोल रहे हैं, then definitely budget and standard are interchangeable. है ना? Such as budgeted cost per unit of raw material is same as standard cost per unit of raw material. Budgeted price per kg of raw material, it is similar to standard price per kg of raw material. So when there will be the difference between this two word budget and standard, because of output level. Budget total has been prepared keeping in mind the budgeted output. I'm once again repeating this point, beta. Budgeted total has been find out keeping in mind the budgeted output. जबकि स्टैंडर्ड भी एक बजट है, स्टैंडर्ड इज ऑल्सो अ बजट, बट दैट स्टैंडर्ड is prepared, that standard totality is prepared on the basis of actual output. हिंदी में अगर मैं बोलूं तो एक्चुअल आउटपुट के आधार पर अगर बजट बनाया जाता, स्टैंडर्ड इज ऑल्सो बजट बट द आउटपुट लेवल इज डिफरेंट, एक्चुअल आउटपुट के आधार पर अगर बजट बनाया जाता, then that is called as standard. Clear है बेटा? This is the second golden rule and the most important two golden rule of standard costing. With actual, we have to compare budget or standard. Second, when budget and standard terms can be interchanged and when they cannot be interchanged, the logic is very simple. Except in totality, they are interchangeable. Except in totality, they are interchangeable. Then we have moved to towards the statement approach to find out the variances. For that statement approach, beta, we have prepared certain rules. What are those rules? There are 3 rules related to preparation of that statement. Due to that, you don't have to mug up the 23 formulas, 5 formula in material, 5 formulas in labor, 3 formulas in variable overhead, and 10 formulas in fail overhead. A total of 23 formulas can be avoided simply by a statement. And the rule of this statement is, whenever you have to find out the material variances, the material cost will be find out by the multiplication of 2 factors. Can you please provide me those 2 factors, beta? Whenever I have to find out, forget about the standard, forget about the actual, just tell me, whenever you have to find out the material cost, that will be a multiplication of 2 factors. What are those factors? That is quantity denoted by Q multiplied by price, that is denoted by P. For Q into P. Similarly, whenever you have to find out the labor cost per unit or labor cost in totality, again that will be a multiplication of 2 factors. What are those 2 factors? Hour into rate. Similarly, whenever you have to find out the revenue related to sale, again that will be a multiplication of 2 factors. Output multiplied by sale price. I have differentiated you a very important terminology that AQ is not equal to AO. AQ and AO interchangeable nahi hai. Can you please recall why they are not interchangeable? AQ is not equal to AO. AQ is altogether different and AO is altogether different. Can you please identify the difference, beta, that we have studied in the last session? Okay, very good, beta. Whenever we use the word alphabet AQ, it is related with raw material. It is related with raw material. Alphabet Q will always be utilized to denote raw material quantity, while alphabet O will always be related to the finished goods, that is the output. So AQ is actual quantity of raw material, while AO is actual output, that is the finished good. For a shirt manufacturer, AQ is quantity of fabric consumed, while AO is number of shirts manufactured and sold. है ना बेटा? क्लियर है दोनों में डिफरेंस? चलिए, तो मैं बता रहा था जब भी कोई भी डेटा में निकालना है तो फर्स्ट लॉजिकली थिंक व्हाट विल बी द मल्टीप्लिकेशन. नाउ कम्स द फर्स्ट रूल. If a single category of raw material is required, then there will be 3 columns. If 2 or more categories of raw material are required to manufacture a product, then 4 columns are there. Suppose there are 5 raw materials, 5 categories of raw materials are required. Then how many columns will be prepared? 4. 2 or more category of raw material will require the preparation of 4 columns. This is the very first rule, beta. Second rule. In case of material, every column will be a multiplication of Q into P, quantity into price. Now, the question is where to put the standard quantity, where to put the actual quantity, where to put the actual price, where to put the standard price. So we have derived second rule that in case of first column, However, there are 3 column, 4 column, it doesn't matter. In case of first column, the quantity will be standard one. While in all the remaining column, the quantity will be actual one. Whether we are preparing 3 column statement or 4 column statement, the rule will not change. In the first column, the quantity will be standard. In the remaining column, the quantity will be actual. Likewise, in the last column, the price will be the actual, and in the remaining column, the price will be the standard one. So like this, you can easily solve the variances without mugging up those 23 formulas. Likewise, in case of labor beta, the similar structure is there. In case of labor, to find out the labor cost, we have to multiply 2 things: hour into rate. In every column, there will be hour into rate. Now, the important question is where to put standard hour and actual hour. The rule will remain same. In case of first column, the hour will be standard. In case of all the remaining column, the hour will be actual. In case of last column, the rate will be actual, while in case of remaining column, the rate will be standard. है ना? Simple है बेटा. Recall हुआ आपको ये सब चीजें? ठीक है. We already written. And in case of 4 column, put R, alphabet R. Right now, we have not discussed this point. Whenever the question requires the same, definitely we will discuss how to prepare a statement in case of 4 variances. Okay, beta. Now, we have started a very, very important revision of CA Inter related to sales variance. Without the sales variance, I guarantee you, beta, you cannot solve the question of standard costing. In almost all of the question, concept of sales variance is required. First and foremost thing, since sale is dependent on time, बजट जो हम बनाते हैं ना सेल्स का, वो बनाते हैं 1 month में हमें कितनी सेल करनी चाहिए, in 2 months how much the quantity will be for. So actual will be compared with budget. There will be no concept of standard whenever you find out the variances of fixed overhead or sales, because both are dependent on time, and on time dependent variance we compare the actual data with the budgeted one. Okay, beta. The first point we have already written, that in case of sales or in case of time dependent variance, time period must be same in order to facilitate comparison. What I mean to say, if budget is prepared for a year, and actual is also given for a year, then the time period of actual data and the time period of budgeted data is same. Therefore, numerical detail of budget and actual can be compared. But in case you're having actual related to a quarter, while the budget is given for a year, we cannot compare the actual quarterly detail with the yearly budgeted detail. So what we have to do, we have to convert the budget given on per annum basis into per quarter basis. Unless otherwise stated, we will assume that sale will remain constant throughout the year. So suppose 10,000 or 1,20,000 output has been given for a year. So 1,20,000 divided by 12 into 3, it will come out to 30,000 units. So 30,000 budget will be compared with the actual detail of a quarter. So time period must be same. In case they are not same, convert the budget time period according to the actual time period. This is the first point. Second point, in case of sales variance में क्या होता था बेटा, अगर हमारा standard ज्यादा था, standard cost is more, while the actual cost is less, it means we have saved some money. उसी आउटपुट के लिए ज्यादा पैसे लगना चाहिए, जबकि उसी आउटपुट के लिए पैसे लगे हैं कम. So that will be called a favorable variance because it will increase the profit. And vice versa. Suppose the standard is less while the actual cost incurred is more than the standard. To generate the same level of output, we have spent some extra money. Therefore, that will reduce our profit. So it will be an adverse variance. Clear है बेटा? Now sales variance बेटा just opposite होगा. Opposite क्यों होगा? Because in cost variance, that is raw material, labor, variable overhead and fixed overhead, these are related with cost. we are having a target of minimization or minimization of cost. While since sales is related to income, sales is related to revenue, we would like to maximize it. So therefore, if actual sales revenue detail are less than the budgeted revenue detail, then we can say कि हमारी income कम generate हुई है. We have generated less income, and due to less income, there will be an adverse variance. आप कंपेयर करिए बेटा, यहाँ पे स्टैंडर्ड ज्यादा था, एक्चुअल कम था, ये फेवरेबल वेरिएंस है. जबकि यहाँ पे बजट ज्यादा है, एक्चुअल कम है, ये हमारे लिए एडवर्स वेरिएंस है. रट्टा नहीं मारना है आपको, बहुत सिंपल सा लॉजिक है. In case of raw material, labor, variable and fixed overhead, they are cost. तो कॉस्ट अगर हमारी कम लगी है तो हमारा प्रॉफिट बढ़ा है. बट इन केस ऑफ सेल्स वेरिएंस, दिस इज नॉट द कॉस्ट, दिस इज द इनकम. सो अगर हमारा एक्चुअल रेवेन्यू कम आया है, सो इट विल बी अ डिसएडवांटेज पोजीशन टू अस, दैट विल बी अ एडवर्स वेरिएंस. जस्ट अपोजिट बेटा, इफ वी हैव कंसीडर्ड लेस income in budget while the actual income is more, then definitely our profit will increase because our revenue has been increased. That will generate a favorable variance. This symbol of adverse favorable will assume much greater importance whenever reverse working question are there, because in reverse working question we have to put the mathematical symbol, plus sign for favorable, minus sign for adverse. So it's very important to that whenever there is a reverse working question, you should be very careful, especially the sales variance बेटा, है ना. क्योंकि जनरली आप 10 में से मान के चलो 8 क्वेश्चन कॉस्ट के करते हो, तो पूरा दिमाग वहां पे कन्वर्ट हो जाता है कि स्टैंडर्ड कम है, एक्चुअल ज्यादा है, सो इट इज अ एडवर्स वेरिएंस. व्हाइल इन केस ऑफ सेल इट विल बी द जस्ट अपोजिट. क्लियर है बेटा? चलिए, नाउ प्लीज राइट डाउन थर्ड पॉइंट रिलेटेड टू सेल्स. थर्ड पॉइंट, in our syllabus we are having two impact of sales variance, impact on turnover and impact on profit. Intentionally the profit word has not been used, intentionally the margin word has been used. So we are analyzing the responsibility of the sales department. Now, sales department responsibility can be analyzed in two ways. What will be the impact on turnover? Turnover पे क्या impact पड़ा? Volume, sales volume कम ज्यादा होने के कारण what will be the impact on turnover? Sale price कम ज्यादा होने के कारण what will be the impact on turnover? So we will find out impact on turnover. Along with the same bottom line पे भी हम impact देख सकते हैं. Due to increase or decrease in sales volume, what will be the impact on our profit? Due to increase or decrease in sale price, what will be the impact on our profit? So there can be two impact of sale. The first impact will be related to turnover and the second impact will be related to margin. Okay बेटा, चलिए अब आप मुझे बताइए, अगर आपको रेवेन्यू निकालना है, then it will be a multiplication of two variable. Forget about the budget, forget about the actual. Just tell me, अगर आपको रेवेन्यू निकालना है तो आप दो चीजें क्या मल्टीप्लाई करेंगे आपस में? इट्स वेरी सिंपल बेटा, बताइए मुझे आप. Thank you, Sukhinder beta. My best wishes to you, beta. Definitely, you will clear the CA examination, beta. It doesn't matter that you are pursuing CA after a gap of 10 years. You have started, you have made your mind. That's the most important part, beta. Give more than 100%. Definitely, the success will be yours, beta. है ना? My best wishes, सुखविंदर सिंह जी. चलिए, तो ये मल्टीप्लीकेशन होगा दो चीजों का बेटा. पहला आउटपुट multiply by sale price, output will be denoted by alphabet O, sale price will be denoted by alphabet SP. ठीक है. अगर मुझे सेल्स का प्रॉफिट निकालना है, कि मैंने सेल्स के द्वारा कितना प्रॉफिट कमाया. सो अगेन इट विल बी अ मल्टीप्लीकेशन ऑफ 2 पॉइंट, आउटपुट multiply by profit. Again, output will be denoted by O, and intentionally the word profit will not be used. The picture will be clear in next 20 to 30 minutes. Why we will not use the word profit? Instead of profit, we will use the word margin. Instead of profit, we will use the word margin. In next 20 to 25 minutes, beta, the picture will be clear why the authors have not used the word profit. Intentionally, they have used the substitute word margin. है ना? So ये कंफर्म है. मटेरियल में जब भी हम वेरिएंस निकालेंगे Q इंटू P, क्वांटिटी इंटू प्राइस. लेबर में जब भी हम वेरिएंस निकालेंगे इट विल बी H इंटू R, आवर इंटू रेट. सेल्स में जब भी वेरिएंस निकालेंगे आउटपुट मल्टीप्लाई बाय सेल प्राइस और आउटपुट मल्टीप्लाई बाय मार्जिन, है ना? ओके बेटा. नाउ if we prepare the statement of impact on turnover related to a single product, can you please apply the first rule, beta? What is the first rule? In case of single raw material, single category of labor, single product, there will be 3 column. Okay. So there will be 3 column. Okay. Let's do one thing. I will communicate orally and I will give you the time to convert that thought into your copy, and then I will write it down after a few minutes, 2 or 3 minutes. So there will be 3 column, beta. We are calculating the impact on turnover. So every column will be a multiplication of 2 factor, output into sale price. Output will be denoted by O and sale price will be denoted by SP. This is the first rule. The second rule, in case of first column, the quantity, in our case, since we are calculating the sale variance, the output will be the standard one. But in case of sale, there is no terminology of standard because it is a time dependent variance and actual will be compared with budget. So in case of first column, the output will be the budget one denoted by BO, budgeted output. And in the remaining column, the output will be the actual. Similarly, in the last column, the sale price will be the actual, while in the remaining column, the sale price will be the budgeted one. So I'm giving you better 2 minutes to try on your own based on the learning we have gathered of 27 January session. And I have also revised the same, provide you the oral answer. Just you have to cut, copy, paste it in your copy. Then I will definitely write it down to compare your answer with the right answer. Hope majority of the student will prepare the correct answer. And please try to compare what will be the difference between 1 and 2 and what will be the difference between 2 and 3, column number 2 and 3. So I'm giving you 3 minutes to prepare this statement and find out what's the difference between those 2 columns. Try कीजिए बेटा, because practice doesn't cost you anything. But in that journey, whatever you learn will remain permanent. Okay, so that's very important that you must try. Okay, Nisha, Avinash, Sairam, Naveen Kumar, Priya have answered. Okay, beta. Now let's check it out. So every column will be a multiplication of two factor, output into fill price. Don't use the word Q, beta. Don't use the alphabet Q, because Q alphabet will be denoted for raw material, not for the output, not for the fill. So O into FP, O into FP. In the first column, the output will be the standard, but since the standard will not be used, in case of time dependent variance, so it will be budgeted output, and in the remaining column, it will be the actual one. In the last column, the price will be the actual, and in the remaining column, the price will be the budgeted. No need to mug up those 23 formulae if you can proceed like this. It's a very, very, very important step in standard costing that you must not focus on mugging up the formulae. Instead of that formula, there is a very simple way to solve those variances. Okay, now we will compare what's the difference. Difference between column number 2 and 3. Before that, what is the similarity? In both the column, the output is same. The difference is related to sale price. The actual output is to be sold at this price, while the actual output has actually been sold at this price. Therefore, this variance is related to difference in sale price. Thus, this variance is known as sale price variance. This variance is known as sale price variance. Okay. In column number 1 and 2, there are two similarities. The first similarity is budgeted sale price is same. The first similarity is budgeted sale price is same. The second similarity, the time period is also same. Budgeted output is for the actual time period, while the actual output is definitely for the actual time period. So output is same, sale price is same, time period is same. The only difference is in the actual time period, you must sold such quantity, while in the same actual time period, the quantity is actual output. So there is a difference in volume. So this variance is technically known as sales volume variance. What we will call this variance? Sales volume variance. Okay, beta. So this will be impact on turnover. मतलब अगर हम ट्रेडिशनल स्टाइल में if we are preparing the profit and loss account, it is talking about the credit side, top row. What will be the impact on turnover, है ना? चलिए मुझे बताइए बेटा, अब आप suppose the total is 2 lakh rupee, while the total is 1,80,000. So the variance is 20,000. आगे बेटा favorable की adverse, 20,000 favorable or adverse? It's adverse because budgeted income 2 lakh rupee thi, while the actual income is 1,80,000. So budgeted revenue कम होना, it means it will be a adverse variance. Clear है बेटा? चलिए. Now we have also to learn how to compute impact on margin. Whenever we will prepare the column, it will be a multiplication of two factor, output multiplied by profit. But profit is intentionally denoted by the word margin, and alphabet M will be used to denote the margin word. So every column will be a multiplication of two factor, output into margin. Now the same rule will apply. First column budgeted output, remaining column actual output, last column actual margin, remaining column budgeted margin. Again, I am giving you beta 2 or 3 minutes to do on your own how to prepare such statement in case of margin. Point number 5, impact on margin. सिंगल प्रोडक्ट, अभी हमने डबल प्रोडक्ट का कहीं भी लिया ही नहीं है बेटा कंसेप्ट. वी आर सॉल्विंग सिंगल प्रोडक्ट कंसेप्ट. चलिए जल्दी से मुझे बताइए, आप सिंगल प्रोडक्ट में आप कितने कॉलम बनाएंगे एंड क्या क्या उसमें लिखेंगे. अगेन गिविंग यू 2 to 3 minutes to do on your own. After that definitely I will make it write down. so that you can compare your answer. And I'm quite confident that you will be able to solve all the 3 columns correctly and find out the difference between those 2 columns, column number 1 and 2 and column number 2 and 3. है ना? Sure. Okay, beta. Let's start. In case of single product, there will be 3 columns. And since we are finding out sales impact on margin, every column will be a multiplication of output into margin, denoted by alphabet M. Okay. In the first column, the output will be the budgeted one, while in the remaining column, output will be the actual one. Same as we have learned in the material variance beta. In the last column, the margin will be the actual one, while the remaining will be the budgeted one. I once again request to all the students that do not use the alphabet Q in the sales area. Many students right now are using the word quantity. Quantity is specifically for material variance. Beta. We will not use the word quantity and its alphabet Q for sales variance. Sales variance will always be denoted by the output and by its alphabet O. Never use the word quantity in case of sales variance. Okay. So what will be the difference in output 2 and 3? The output is the difference is related to the margin. In second column, the margin is budgeted, while in the third column, the margin is actual. So it will be called as sales price margin variance. Sale price margin variance. FPMV, इसको एब्रीवेशन में हम ऐसे लिखेंगे. सेल मार्जिन प्राइस वेरिएंस भी बोल सकते हैं, सेल प्राइस मार्जिन वेरिएंस भी बोल सकते हैं. The difference in column number 1 and 2 is related to output. And since we are calculating impact on margin, it will be called as sales margin volume variance. Sales margin volume variance. In abbreviation, it will be called as SMVV, sales margin volume variance. Clear, beta? Now, a very, very important point number 6. Computation of margin. Before that, I am giving you a question so that you can provide me the answer. What will be the budgeted margin? What will be the actual margin? Sale price. The budgeted sale price is suppose 250 rupee. Actual sale price is 254. Cost. Budgeted cost is suppose 180, while the actual cost is 190. Okay. Please provide me the answer. What will be the budgeted margin? What will be the actual margin? Budgeted margin per unit में कितने रुपए आएगा? And what will be the answer of actual margin? है ना? Waiting for your answer, beta. Please communicate. Okay, as per Nisha, budgeted margin is 70 rupee, while actual margin is 64 rupee. Naveen Kumar has also given me the same answer. Okay. Other student, beta, please communicate. Priya, Avinash, Sairam, Sukhinder, Nisha, please communicate the answer, beta. What is the answer as per your calculation? Budgeted margin and actual margin. Okay, Sairam has also given the same answer, 1764, Priya 1764. Okay, beta. So, budgeted margin is 250 minus 180. It's 70 rupee. Clear, beta? And actual margin is 254 minus 190. So it will be 64. But this is the point you have to learn. This is the very, very important point. And as per my experience of 15 years, students commit error in this area. The correct answer is not 64. The correct answer is 74 rupee is the actual margin. ये गलत है बेटा, 64 रुपी का आंसर गलत है. द एक्चुअल मार्जिन इज 74 रुपी. नाउ how I calculated that 74 rupee is by deducting the budgeted cost from the actual sale price. The formula of actual margin is not the actual sale price minus actual cost. The formula is actual sale price minus very important budgeted cost minus budgeted cost. Actual sale price minus budgeted cost. That will be the formula for actual margin. So actual sale price is 254. Budgeted cost is 180. So the answer of actual margin will be 74 rupee. Now, a very natural question arises in the minds of student that for why in the case of actual margin, we are not use the actual cost. We have used the budgeted cost only. Why? Can you provide me the logic, beta? I am waiting, beta. I am waiting. While calculating the actual margin, why we have used the budgeted cost instead of actual cost? In other words, whenever you will find out the margin, there is no role of whatsoever of actual cost. Actual cost का कोई role ही नहीं है. Always, whether we have to find out the budgeted margin or the actual margin, we will always use the budgeted cost. There is no role of actual cost while computing sales variances. Now, this is the concept, but what's the logic behind that concept? Can you please focus on that, beta? Can you please provide me the logic? Why instead of actual cost, we have used the budgeted cost to calculate the actual margin? बताइए बेटा. देखिए बेटा, logic is very simple. Please listen very carefully. I will provide you two logic. The first and the most important logic is we are calculating the sales variances. We are calculating the sales variances. ठीक है, sales variance हम compute कर रहे हैं. ठीक है, it means we are measuring the performance of sales department. एग्रीड बेटा, सेल्स वेरिएंस हम निकाल रहे हैं, मतलब हम सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट का परफॉर्मेंस मेजर कर रहे हैं. ओके, वी अंडरस्टूड इन चैप्टर नंबर 8 ऑल्सो, चैप्टर नंबर 9 ऑल्सो, है ना, दैट व्हेनेवर any performance is to be evaluated, that performance should be based on controllable factors. Sales department is responsible for volume. Say yes or no, beta. Yes, sales department is responsible for volume. Sales department is responsible for sale price, but sales department is not at all responsible for cost, but you can fix the responsibility of sales department related to volume, that इतना volume आपको बेचना था, आपने इतना volume बेचा. So higher the volume, you will be get the credit. Lower the volume, the responsibility will be fixed. सेल प्राइस से भी रिलेटेड वो बेटा, सेल प्राइस कम ज्यादा हुई उसके लिए वो रिस्पॉन्सिबल है, बट इन नो वे सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट इज रिस्पॉन्सिबल फॉर मटेरियल. Sales responsible if department for labor, variable overhead and fixed overhead. They all are incurred in the production department. So cost incurred in the production department are uncontrollable from the viewpoint of sales department. So whenever we measure the performance of sales department will be evaluated on two grounds: regarding the sales volume, regarding the sale price. We cannot held responsible related to cost for the sales department, because sales department has nothing to do with the material, labor, variable overhead and fixed overhead incurred at the production department. क्लियर है बेटा? ये सबसे पहला और सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट लॉजिक है कि जब भी हम सेल्स वेरिएंस निकालेंगे, there is no role whatsoever of the actual cost, because difference of budget and actual cost is due to the efficiency or negligence of the production department that has nothing to do with the sales department. ये पहला लॉजिक बेटा. Second logic is numerical. First of all, material will be purchased, labor. So sale होने से पहले, before the sale, production has been completed. So already the difference between budget and actual cost variance has already been computed in the form of material variance, labor variance, variable overhead variance, and fixed overhead variance. So there will not be any duplicacy of the same variance in the sale variance, since sales will be done afterward. Before that, production will be completed, and once the production is completed, variance related to material, labor, वेरिएबल ओवरहेड एंड फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड हैव ऑलरेडी बीन कंप्यूटेड. तो जो 10 रुपए का वेरिएंस आया ना, ये ऑलरेडी हमने कंप्यूट कर लिया है बेटा. सो वी विल नॉट हैव टू कैलकुलेट दिस वेरिएंस अगेन. बट द फर्स्ट लॉजिक आई प्रेफर इफ सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट इज रिस्पांसिबल फॉर वॉल्यूम एंड सेल प्राइस, यू कैन नॉट हेल्ड रिस्पांसिबल फॉर द कॉस्ट इनकर्ड एट द प्रोडक्शन डिपार्टमेंट, है ना. सेल्स डिपार्टमेंट को आप उसके लिए रिस्पांसिबल नहीं मान सकते. लिखिए बेटा, लिखिए बेटा. बजटेड मार्जिन बीएम, एब्रिविएशन में लिखिए आप बीएम. बजटेड मार्जिन इज इक्वल टू, सब एब्रिविएशन करिएगा, मैं लैंग्वेज में बोल रहा हूं, आप एब्रिविएशन में लिखिएगा. बजटेड सेल प्राइस माइनस बजटेड कॉस्ट. नेक्स्ट लाइन में लिखिए बेटा, एक्चुअल मार्जिन एएम is equal to actual sale price minus actual cost. एक्चुअल कॉस्ट लिखिए आप, फिर उसको क्रॉस कीजिए बेटा. एक्चुअल कॉस्ट आप लिखिए, फिर उसको क्रॉस कीजिए, और उसके बदले फिर आप लिखिए वहां पे बजटेड कॉस्ट. इसमें क्या होगा, बाद में रिवीजन के टाइम पे आपको बहुत बेनिफिट मिलेगा इसका. एक्चुअल कॉस्ट आपने लिखा, क्रॉस द एक्चुअल कॉस्ट, इसके नीचे आप लिखिए बजटेड कॉस्ट, ताकि आपको वहां पे क्लिक हो कि भैया हमें एक्चुअल कॉस्ट नहीं लेना है, वी हैव टू यूज द बजटेड कॉस्ट. ड्रॉप 1 or 2 line beta and write down this important point. There is no role of actual cost, there is no role of actual cost while calculating, there is no role of actual cost while calculating sales variances. There is no role of actual cost while calculating sales variances. क्लियर है बेटा. चलिए अब नेक्स्ट पॉइंट अपन लिखते हैं इसमें. कौन सा पॉइंट है, पॉइंट नंबर 7. पॉइंट नंबर 7, sale price variance is equal to sale margin price variance, but sales volume variance is not equal to sales margin volume variance. A very important concept whenever you try to prepare a reconciliation statement, whether under marginal costing, absorption costing, or relevant costing. All the three concepts are there at final level beta. Reconciliation statement. Whenever you prepare the reconciliation statement, this point number 7 is very important. Sale price variance. Indirectly, I am saying this variance are computed based on turnover. It is so जो आपका लेफ्ट हैंड साइड है ये आपका बताता है इंपैक्ट ऑन टर्नओवर, जो ये आपका राइट हैंड साइड है ये आपका बताता है इंपैक्ट ऑन मार्जिन. So the price variance calculated under impact on turnover will always be equal to the price variance computed on impact on margin. जो प्राइस वेरिएंस आपने टर्नओवर पे कैलकुलेट किया है वही प्राइस वेरिएंस आएगा जो आपने मार्जिन पर कैलकुलेट किया है. सो इन केस वी रिक्वायर्ड सेल मार्जिन प्राइस वेरिएंस, but we have been provided the sale price variance. Can we interchange those? Yes, because sale price variance will always be equal to sale margin price variance. है ना? Second, but if we have been given the sales volume variance while we require the sale margin volume variance, that will cannot be interchanged because sale volume variance calculated on impact on turnover will never be equal to sale margin volume variance calculated on impact on margin. Now, important point, what will be the logic? This is the rule, beta. Na? This you have to follow in every question whenever it is required, and especially in reconciliation statement, that sale price variance can be substituted for sale margin price variance and vice versa. But sale volume variance cannot be substituted for sale margin volume variance. है ना? So देखिए बेटा क्या लॉजिक है इसका. एक कार मैन्युफैक्चरर की अपन बात करते हैं. बजट एक्चुअल, सेल प्राइस 5 लाख रुपए, 5,10,000 रुपए. कॉस्ट 4,50,000, 4,52,000. Profit 50,000 and profit is 58,000. Okay. Now, two details are totally irrelevant. Two details are totally irrelevant whenever you calculate the sales variance. Can you please provide me? There are total fixed detail. There are total fixed detail 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Out of the fixed detail, which detail are totally irrelevant while calculating the sales variance? I am waiting for your answer, beta. Please communicate through number 1 to 6. Which two detail, not a single detail. There are two detail which are totally irrelevant while computing sale variance, whether we are computing impact on turnover or whether we are computing impact on margin. In both the impact, there is no role of two detail out of the 6 detail. What are those, beta? Please answer, beta. I'm waiting for your answer. Which of the two detail are totally irrelevant? I'm asking this question, beta, because if such concept fix in your mind, definitely there will not be any error while solving the sales variances. Okay, point number 5 and point number 6 will be totally irrelevant. Point number 5 irrelevant because in sales variance, whenever we compute the margin, that will be the difference of budgeted cost only. There will be no role of actual cost. So ये काम का नहीं है हमारे. And since this is the word. Since profit has been computed considering the sale price, actual sale price minus actual cost, therefore this is also not relevant. That's why I have told you that intentionally instead of the word profit, margin has been used because the formula of actual profit is actual sale price minus actual cost. So this is the actual profit. This is the AP. This is not the AM. ये AM नहीं है. This is the AP, actual profit. While the AM is actual sale price minus budgeted cost. ठीक है बेटा, चलिए तो ये चीज अपने को क्लियर हुई थी, ये चीज हमारे कोई भी काम की नहीं है। ओके, लास्ट पॉइंट, वॉल्यूम। सपोज फॉर अ डे 100 कार एंड 102 कार, ठीक है। अब आइए बेटा, अगर हम टर्नओवर की बात करें, वी आर डिस्कसिंग व्हाई द सेल वॉल्यूम वेरिएंस calculated on impact on turnover will not be equal to sales margin volume variance calculated on margin. The logic is very simple. कितने से टर्नओवर बढ़ा? Turnover have been increased by 2 cars, so it will be a favorable situation for us. It will be a favorable situation for us. So turnover have been increased by 2 car, multiply by budgeted sale price 5 lakh. So turnover has been increased by rupees 10 lakh. क्योंकि जो सेल प्राइस का डिफरेंस है वो तो सेल प्राइस वेरिएंस में आएगा, टर्नओवर में तो बजटेड सेल प्राइस आता है। तो 2 कार हमने ज्यादा बेचा, हर एक कार की बजटेड सेल प्राइस 5 लाख रुपए थी। So there is an increase in turnover by rupees 10 lakh due to volume. So 10 lakh रुपीस से मेरा टर्नओवर बढ़ा है, 10 लाख रुपीस से मेरा टर्नओवर बढ़ा। समझ में आया बेटा? डिफरेंस बिटवीन बजटेड आउटपुट एंड एक्चुअल आउटपुट 2 कार मल्टीप्लाई बाय बजटेड सेल प्राइस दैट इज 5 लाख रुपीस। सो बजटेड टर्नओवर के कंपैरिजन में एक्चुअल टर्नओवर मेरा 10 लाख से बढ़ा है। नाउ द क्वेश्चन इज, जो भी ये टर्नओवर बढ़ा है उस टर्नओवर के कारण जो भी आपके पास एडिशनल अमाउंट आया है, whether that additional amount is equal to your profit? No way. To sell those 2 extra car, you have to incur 4,50,000 on each and every car. So 10 lakh के वॉल्यूम को इंक्रीज करने के लिए you have incurred 2 into 4,50,000. You have to incur 9 lakh rupee to increase the volume by 2 car. So 10 lakh का आपका रेवेन्यू हुआ, एडिशनल रेवेन्यू, आपकी एडिशनल कॉस्ट हुई 9 लाख रुपी। सो व्हाट यू अर्न इज 1 लाख रुपी ओनली, बिकॉज जितने से आपका टर्नओवर बढ़ा है, जितने से आपका टर्नओवर बढ़ा है उतने से आपका प्रॉफिट नहीं बढ़ेगा, बिकॉज टू इंक्रीज दैट टर्नओवर you have to incur extra cost also. So sale margin volume variance will be equal to 1 lakh. क्लियर हुआ बेटा? टर्नओवर जितने से बड़ा है वॉल्यूम के कारण उतने से आपका प्रॉफिट नहीं बढ़ेगा, बिकॉज इफ टर्नओवर हैज बीन इंक्रीज डेफिनेटली कॉस्ट हैज आल्सो बीन इंक्रीज. सो द डिफरेंस बिटवीन इंक्रीजिंग टर्नओवर minus increase in cost will be our impact on margin. So सेल वॉल्यूम वेरिएंस विल नेवर बी इक्वल टू सेल्स मार्जिन वॉल्यूम वेरिएंस, है ना? इसका एक दूसरा तरीका भी है बेटा टू कंप्यूट द सेल मार्जिन वॉल्यूम वेरिएंस. व्हाट इज द बजटेड एनपी रेशियो? इट्स 10%. 50,000 divided by 5 lakh, it's 10%. What does this 10% indicate? To generate a revenue of 100%, we have to spend 90% and the remaining 10% will be our profit. Can we interpret like this बेटा? 10% को कैसे इंटरप्रेट करेंगे? To generate a revenue of rupee 100, we have to incur rupee 90 and the remaining 10% will be our profit. So sales volume variance के द्वारा अगर हमें कंप्यूट करना है तो this can be the formula. Sale volume variance is rupee 10 lakh multiplied by budgeted NP ratio. Multiply by budgeted NP ratio. In our case, sale volume variance is 10 lakh rupee. Multiply by budgeted NP ratio 10%. Remaining 90% उस वॉल्यूम को इंक्रीज करने में हमारा स्पेंड हो गया है. क्लियर है बेटा? चलिए. And now important question is why the sale price variance calculated on impact on turnover and the sale margin price variance calculated on impact on margin will always be the same. सबसे पहले एक सिंपल सा लॉजिक, इंक्रीज और डिक्रीज इन सेल प्राइस हैज नो रिलेशन विद व्हाटसोएवर विद द कॉस्ट. कॉस्ट से उसका कोई रिलेशन नहीं है. मैथमेटिकली अगर मैं आपको प्रूव करूं तो व्हाट इज द फॉर्मूला ऑफ बजटेड मार्जिन? 5 लाख minus 4,50,000. What is the formula of actual margin? 5,10,000 minus 4,50,000. सेल प्राइस कितने से बढ़ी? 10,000 से. सेल प्राइस कितने से बढ़ी? 10,000 से. चेक कीजिए मार्जिन कितने से बढ़ा आपका? 10,000 से बढ़ा है. बजटेड मार्जिन इज 50,000 while the actual margin is 60,000. sale price 5 lakh minus 5 lakh 10,000. It has been increased by 10,000. Also, the budgeted margin is also increased by 10,000. The logic is very simple, beta. Whenever you are comparing the budgeted margin and actual margin, indirectly you are comparing this two amount, 5 lakh and 5 lakh 10,000, because in computation of both the margin, we have deducted the same amount of cost, that is 4 lakh 50,000. So impact on margin or impact on turnover, the price variance will remain same, because in both the variances, directly or indirectly, we are comparing the sale price. Okay, clear है बेटा? कोई डाउट है आपको? मैं समय देता हूं बेटा. I am giving you 2 to 3 minutes to read out all these 7 points related to sale variance. Okay, or okay, I will give some extra time. I will give you 4 minutes beta, because you have to read out all those 7 points. Try to recall all those 7 points with your logic. That's very important. Once you are done with that, we can move to the other basic of inter. We have completed material, we have completed labor, we have completed sales. Now we will shift to the overhead variance. Till now, we have not started the final level standard costing. I'm repeating beta. Till now, we have not started the final level standard costing. We are revising the concept of standard costing that has been taught to you by the ICAI at inter level. Right now, we have not started any topic related to standard costing of final level. So 4 minutes are available with you, beta. Please try to revise each and every point related to sales area. 4 minutes में आपको दे रहा हूं. चलिए बेटा, बड़े आगे मटेरियल हो चुका है, लेबर हो चुका है, सेल्स इज कंप्लीटेड. नाउ वी विल मूव टू द वेरिएंस रिलेटेड टू द ओवरहेड, है ना. सो हेडिंग दीजिए बेटा, वेरिएबल ओवरहेड वेरिएंस. वेरिएबल ओवरहेड वेरिएंस. We are already seen in chapter number 9, strategic analysis of operating income, that under traditional method, overhead can be recovered based on 7 ground: percentage of material, labor, prime cost, labor hours, machine hours, combined hour, and output. While in case of activity-based costing, n number of bases can be used. There is no fixed list that you have to use the overhead recovery rate based on such factor only. Okay. So overhead can be recovered in 7 bases in traditional method and through many basis in ABC method. But in our syllabus of standard costing, variable overhead will always be based on labor hour. Once again, I am repeating, beta. Whenever we have studied the chapter number 9, strategic analysis of operating income, I have told you the basic that in case of traditional method, we can recover the variable overhead or the fixed overhead based on 7 bases. While in ABC, there is no such limit. Any base can be used for recovery of activity. But in our syllabus of standard costing, although variable overhead can be recovered through multiple bases, but in our syllabus, variable overhead will be based on labor hours only. है ना बेटा, ये बहुत बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है कि in our syllabus, variable overhead will be based on labor hours. जबकि variable rate can be dependent on machine hour, variable rate can be dependent on raw material, variable rate can be dependent on prime cost. But to make the syllabus simple, in our syllabus, we are having only a single variety, that is variable overhead dependent on labor hour. So to find out the variance, the formula is very simple, beta. There will always be 3 columns in case of variable overhead variance. Okay. Since it is dependent on labor hour, it will be a multiplication of hour into recovery rate. Whenever we use the word overhead, that the word price or rate will not be used. The word recovery rate will be used. So in every column, there will be hour into recovery rate. And this hour is related to machine or labor hour. Definitely labor hour, because in our syllabus, variable rate variance is dependent on labor hour. Now the same rule, beta. In the very first column, the hour will be the standard one, while in the remaining column, the hour will be the actual one. In the last column, the recovery rate will be the actual, while in case of remaining column, the recovery rate will be the standard one. That's all. Your completed variable overhead variance. Just you have to keep in mind that variable overhead is dependent on labor hour, and in variable overhead or fixed overhead, we use the word recovery rate. So every column will be a multiplication of 2 factor, hour into recovery rate, and the same rule will apply. In the first column, hour will be the standard, remaining will be the actual. In the last column, rate will be the actual, while in the remaining, the rate will be the standard one. है ना? चलिए, तो अब देखिए बेटा, इन दोनों में क्या सिमिलरिटी है और क्या डिफरेंस है. इन कॉलम नंबर 2 एंड कॉलम नंबर 3 एक्चुअल आवर्स आर सेम. जो डिफरेंस है वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ रिकवरी रेट का है. तो हम इसे यहां पे बोलेंगे वेरिएबल ओवरहेड एक्सपेंडिचर वेरिएंस के नाम से बोला जाता है. वेरिएबल ओवरहेड एक्सपेंडिचर वेरिएंस. While comparing column number 1 and 2, standard recovery rate are same, output is same. Output is because standard has been computed based on actual output. Output is same. The difference is due to hour. This is known as variable overhead efficiency variance. लेबर की एफिशिएंसी कम ज्यादा होने के कारण हमारे वेरिएबल ओवरहेड पे क्या इंपैक्ट पड़ा, दिस विल बी डिनोटेड बाय वेरिएबल ओवरहेड एफिशिएंसी वेरिएंस. जब सिंपल ही है बेटा, इसको सिंपल ही रखिएगा. इतना ही है आपके फाइनल लेवल पे कि वेरिएबल ओवरहेड वेरिएंस इज डिपेंडेंट ऑन लेबर आवर. So first of all, 3 column will be there. Every column will be a multiplication of 2 factor h into recovery rate, and based on the same rule we can find out the variances. ठीक है, चलो बढ़ो बेटा. नाउ लास्ट रिवीजन ऑफ interlevel, that is fixed overhead. After that we will move on to the final topic of standard costing. Okay, so now fixed overhead variances. First question from my side, fixed overhead variances. Whether actual overhead can be recovered from customer or budgeted overhead can be recovered from customer. Which overhead can be recovered from? Recovered, ed लगाया मैंने past में लगाया. Which overhead can be recovered from customer? Budgeted overhead or actual overhead? Please revert beta. The very first question from my side related to fixed overhead variance. Which overhead can be recovered from customer? Budgeted overhead or the actual overhead? Please revert fast beta. Which overhead? You can write alphabet B for budgeted and A for actual. Communicate fast. Okay beta, always and always only budgeted overhead can be recovered from customers. There is no single company in the world which can recover the actual overhead from the customer. The logic is very simple beta. Whenever customer arrives, at that particular point of time, you are not having the detail of actual overhead. So ये आपकी मजबूरी है कि आपको अपने कस्टमर से बजटेड ओवरहेड ही रिकवर करना है, because at that point of fail time you are not having the detail of actual overhead. Actual overhead will be ascertained only and only at the year end, while sale took place round the year 365 days. So at that particular point of time only and only we will be able to recover the budgeted overhead. No, Avinash Gupta beta. Avinash Gupta have asked the question whether variable or expenditure variance is labor rate variance. No beta. Although the hour detail are related with labor, but in case of labor variances, the rate is related with labor. While in case of variable overhead variances, the rate will be related with variable overhead. है ना? So labor rate variance और variable expenditure variance same नहीं होगा बेटा, है ना? तो समझ में आया बेटा? Very good Shalini, very good Priya beta, you have provided the correct answer that only and only the budgeted overhead can be recovered from the customer. है ना? ठीक है. तो देखिए बेटा, वेरी सिंपल, जब भी हम फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड वेरिएंस की बात करेंगे, सो फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड वेरिएंस, फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड कॉस्ट वेरिएंस का अगर हम फॉर्मूला देखेंगे, सो द फॉर्मूला, सिंपल फॉर्मूला, लेमैन के लिए फॉर्मूला की अगर मैं बात करूं, इट्स इनफ्लो माइनस आउटफ्लो. फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड के नाम से कितना इनफ्लो हुआ, फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड के नाम से कितना आउटफ्लो हुआ. सो इट्स इनफ्लो एंड आउटफ्लो. आउटफ्लो इज नथिंग बट द एक्चुअल फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड. and we are computing this variance. Please listen very carefully, beta. We are computing this variance at the year end. So outflow is actual fixed overhead, while inflow will be a multiplication of two factor. Inflow will be a multiplication of two factor. The first one is the rate will be the budgeted recovery rate, because round the year we are selling our product, and that point of time we are not able to ascertain the accurate amount of actual fixed overhead. So हमें कस्टमर से बजटेड ओवरहेड ही रिकवर करना पड़ता है, एंड टू रिकवर ओवरहेड वी हैव टू फाइंड आउट द बजटेड रिकवरी रेट. So the rate will be the budgeted, but most important point, the output will be the actual output, because this variance has been computed at the year end. तो year end पर हमें ये information available है कि how many units we have sold. On that unit we have recovered the budgeted overhead. So actual output sold multiplied by budgeted recovery rate will be our inflow towards the fixed cost, while our outflow is in the name of एक्चुअल फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड. ये क्लियर हुआ बेटा आपको? तो फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड कॉस्ट वेरिएंस में हमें इनफ्लो और आउटफ्लो को कंपेयर करना है. इनफ्लो इज टेक्निकली नोन एज रिकवर्ड फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड. इनफ्लो को टेक्निकली बोला जाता है रिकवर्ड, ईडी है, रिकवर्ड फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड. इट मींस वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग दिस डिटेल एट द ईयर एंड. तो रिकवर्ड, तो जो यूनिट हमने एक्चुअली बेचा, एक्चुअल आउटपुट मल्टीप्लाई बाय बजटेड रिकवरी रेट. क्लियर है बेटा? चलिए बढ़ू आगे. नाउ द फिक्स्ड ओवरहेड कॉस्ट वेरिएंस will be bifurcated into two parts. Fixed overhead volume variance and fixed overhead expenditure variance. Fixed overhead volume variance and fixed overhead expenditure variance. Now listen very carefully, beta. At the time of computation of budgeted recovery rate, the formula you have used is budgeted fixed overhead divided by budgeted output. The formula of BRR, budgeted recovery rate, is budgeted fixed overhead divided by budgeted output. Okay. This budgeted recovery rate has been find out at the year start. साल के शुरुआत में ही हमने BRR निकाल लिया. And how we have computed the BRR? Budgeted fixed overhead divided by budgeted output. Now listen very carefully, beta. This is an estimation. The numerator is an estimation. Estimation will definitely change. So whatever overhead you have assumed and whatever overhead you have incurred, there will be definitely a difference in both the one. So in the numerator, you have considered the estimated one. So if numerator में at the year end जो change आया है, if numerator में जो year end पे जो change आया है, that will be denoted by fixed overhead expenditure variance. The formula will be budgeted fixed overhead minus actual fixed overhead. मतलब हमने expenditure variance में numerator को target किया कि numerator में जो आपने estimation किया था, whether that estimation works or not, let's compare it with the actual fixed overhead. Now, the term of denominator. In denominator, we assume the budgeted output. कि हम इतनी यूनिट बनाएंगे, while the actual output can be less or more than that. So now, through fixed overhead volume variance, we will compare the actual output with the budgeted output. कि क्या output हमने सोचा था, and what is the actual output, multiply by budgeted recovery rate. That's all. If you don't mug up the formula, then it will be very simple. If you mug up the formula, then definitely it will create some problem, beta. The logic is very simple. In fixed overhead cost variance, we have to compare the inflow with outflow. Inflow is nothing but the recovered fixed overhead. Fixed overhead के नाम से हमने कितना overhead recover किया है? It's the multiplication of actual output multiplied by budgeted recovery rate, while outflow is nothing but the actual fixed overhead. This has been further subdivided into two parts, volume variance and expenditure variance. Expenditure variance is due to the difference in numerator. जो numerator है, इसका difference आता है वो. And the volume variance if the difference of denominator. आपने denominator में budgeted output लिया था. Let's check it out. What is the actual output? Clear है बेटा? तो चलिए बेटा. This is all about the basic of CA inter that will be applicable at final level. है ना? अब हम final level start कर सकते हैं बेटा. We will take a break now of 12 minutes. We will meet at 8:35. After that, we will start the first final topic of standard costing. है ना? In case you are having any doubt, beta, you can ask that doubt. And if you want to revise all the concept of CA inter, which we have studied in the previous session as well as today's session, you can have a quick revision of those in the break time if you think it's better. है ना बेटा? तो ब्रेक लेते हैं. ब्रेक के बाद फिर पहला टॉपिक अपन फाइनल का स्टार्ट करेंगे, that is planning and operational variance. ठीक है बेटा? A break of 12 minutes. We will meet sharp at 8:35. Okay. Welcome back, beta. चलिए, तो formally we will start the very first topic of final level standard costing. Please give the heading planning and operational variance. Planning and operational variance. The very first topic of final level. Planning and operational variances. Planning and operational variances. Okay, beta. I will provide you 2 or 3 examples related to this concept, planning and operational variances. Why we need to bifurcate a variance into planning and operational variance. Okay, beta. Let's take example number 1 so that it will give you the clarity and importance of this particular topic, planning and operational variance. Example number 1. You don't have to write this example, beta, in your copy. Just try to understand the topic. Okay. My client is in transport business. My client is in transport business. At the start of the year, budget has been prepared and the budgeted price per liter of diesel is, suppose, say 90 rupee per liter, while the actual price per liter of diesel is rupee 110. Okay, so at the year end, when we try to fix the responsibility of the purchase department, now at the year end, when we try to fix the responsibility of the purchase department, can you tell me whether the performance is favorable from company viewpoint or adverse from company viewpoint? The performance of purchase department, definitely you will say that the performance of purchase department will be adverse. There will be a variance of rupee 20 rupee adverse variance. जो गुड्स आपको 90 रुपी पर लीटर में परचेज करना था, द सेम गुड्स हैव बीन परचेज्ड एट 110 रुपी पर लीटर. So there is an excess spending of rupee 20 per liter during the period. So whether purchase manager will be able to get any promotion, bonus or reward? The answer is no, because the performance is adverse, and that too by 20 rupee per liter as compared to the budgeted one. Almost 20% price has been incurred excessively. But this picture will not provide you the complete detail. It might happen that due to exchange rate movement, due to the international crude price, have increased. Due to exchange rate, our Indian rupee has been depreciated. Suppose exchange rate is upward. For every $1 we have to spend more as compared to the budget. Now, due to this factor, market price of diesel has increased. But while calculating variance, whether you have considered this point that at the time of preparation of the budget and at the year end, there has been drastic change in the market condition due to the increase in the crude price of in the international market, and also rupee has been depreciated. It impact on the market price of diesel has been increased. Now, normally the diesel has been available in the market at the rate of 105 rupee per liter. Normal rate, average rate of the diesel in the market during the whole year is 105 rupee per liter. But you're not considered this point. You simply compare the budgeted rate, that is the standard rate set at the year start, that is 90 rupee, compared with the actual rate, that is the 110 rupee. incurred averagely incurred during the period, and you say that there is an adverse variance of rupee 20 for 20 rupee per liter is the responsibility of the purchase department. So you are held accountable for that. You will not get any promotion reward or whatsoever. But this is not the complete picture. You have to check whether this difference of rupee 20 is controllable or uncontrollable from the viewpoint of purchase department. It might be possible that the market price of diesel has been increased uniformly for all the players. The average price is 105 during the period. Now, to get a clear picture, we must bifurcate this 20 rupee into two parts. How much is the controllable portion in this 20 rupee and how much is the uncontrollable portion in this 20 rupee? Can you tell me, beta, how much is the uncontrollable portion in this 20 rupee adverse? We cannot do. Even the purchase manager has cannot be a fixed responsibility for that uncontrollable factor. Out of 20 rupee adverse, how much is the uncontrollable amount? Please communicate, beta. I'm waiting. Very good, beta. Rupee 15, 90 rupee minus 105. It is the general increase in the price of the commodity. You cannot have any influence on that. So therefore, 15 rupee is the uncontrollable factor. For the remaining 5 rupee is definitely the responsibility of the purchase department, which has not executed his responsibility to the benefit to the organization. Okay, बेटा समझ में आया? ये पहला एग्जांपल कि हमें प्लानिंग और ऑपरेशनल वेरिएंस की क्यों जरूरत है? Because at the year start you have set the budget considering that the market condition will remain stable. But in case the market condition is not stable, then definitely you have to bifurcate each and every variance into two parts, planning variance and operational variance. Okay, beta. Example number 2. Suppose you are a fruit juice manufacturer. Okay. In the budget, you consider that 3 kgs of fruit pulp is required for 1 kg of output, 1 liter of output. For 1 liter of output, 3 kgs of pulp is required for 1 liter output. So the input output ratio, I can say the input output ratio is 300%. For every 1 liter of output, we require 3 kgs of pulp, fruit pulp. Our input output ratio is 300%. While actually 3.7 kgs of pulp is being used, was used for 1 liter. So the input output ratio is 370%. For every 1 liter of output, we require 3.7 kg. So now it's the time for fixing the responsibility or giving the credit of good work. At the year end, the production department will be called upon. The production manager will be called upon that you have been given the target that for every 1 liter of output, 3 kgs of fruit pulp are required. While going through the actual detail, we came to the conclusion that for every 1 liter of output, you have consumed 3.7 kg of fruit pulp. In other words, we have got the same output, 1 liter and 1 liter, but you have consumed 0.7 kg extra to manufacture every 1 liter of output. So there will be an adverse variance of 0.7 kg. There will be an adverse variance of 0.7 kg multiplied by standard price of raw material. Now, this is the responsibility of the production department. 0.7 multiply. Suppose the standard price of raw material is rupee 100. So rupee 70 per liter will be held responsible for the production department that because of you, we have incurred rupees 70 extra. Now the question, whether this provide you the complete picture? Yes and no. Yes. If the market condition remains stable throughout the year, then definitely rupees 70 will be the responsibility of the production department. But it might be possible, that the crop quality is not appropriate. The crop quality, जो temperature होना चाहिए था weather का, वो नहीं रह पाया, तो the crop quality is very inferior throughout the market, है ना? तो जो fruit pulp की quality होनी चाहिए थी, वो quality हमें नहीं मिली. You know बेटा, higher the quality of the product, lower will be the input requirement. But if the quality is cheaper, if the quality is inferior, definitely more input will be required for same kgs of output. So in the market, since the quality of the raw material is affected due to the weather condition, therefore the inferior quality of product require more input. So in the market, every competitor now require 4 kgs of pulp. Now every competitor requires 4 kgs of pulp to manufacture 1 liter of output. So in this way, you are analyzing, you are fixing the responsibility in a wrong way of production department. Even the production department has done a wonderful job. Our competitor is using the same raw material and they are consuming 4 kgs of pulp, while our production department has consumed just 3.7 kg of pulp to manufacture 1 liter of output. In fact, our manufacturing department, our production department have worked in the favor of the organization. But without bifurcating the variances into controllable and uncontrollable, you came to the conclusion that 0.7 kg extra has been consumed. While the reality is, due to the inferior quality of raw material, the standard is now been revised to 4 kg, while our production department has consumed just 3.7 kg. In fact, it has consumed less as compared to our competitor. So there should be the credit given to the production department that yes, you have done a wonderful job. So the importance of planning and operating variance. Without bifurcating the variance into planning and operating, our conclusion related to the favorable and adverse variance will go a wrong way. We have to analyze each and every variance into 2 parts, planning and operational, so that the manager responsible are held accountable for controllable factor only. Clear हुआ बेटा basic? चलिए लिखिए. Please write. Please write down बेटा. Every variance should be bifurcated into planning and operational variance. Planning and operational variance. Second point लिखे. Second point, planning variance is also known as uncontrollable variance. Planning variance is also known as uncontrollable variance. While operational variance is known as controllable variance. While operational variance is known as controllable variance. Write down the third point, beta. So we have to compare. This is the original standard. This is the original standard. Original standard means standard set at the start of the year. This is the original standard. This is the actual one. Okay. In traditional variances, we compare the actual detail with the original standard. That is the standard set at the start of the year. But logically, the each and every variances should be bifurcated into two parts: planning variance and the operational variance. That is the uncontrollable portion and the controllable portion of the variance. So very, very important word, revised standard. Please write down, beta, in the top margin. In the top margin, what do you mean by original standard? What do you mean by original standard? Original standard के बारे में लिखिए. The standard set at the start of the year. The standard that has been set at the start of the year. Revised standard के बारे में लिखिए बेटा आप. Revised standard के बारे में. The standard considering the actual condition prevailing in the market. The standard considering the actual condition prevailing in the market. Please continue this diagram, beta. The comparison of original standard with the revised standard is known as planning variance. It is known as planning variance, uncontrollable. While the difference of revised standard with the actual standard is known as operational variance. And standard can be revised due to the price factor or due to the material factor, due to the resources. So clear है बेटा ये चीज. अभी तक right now we are comparing the actual with the original standard, but in case of planning and operational variance, we have to compare the original standard with the revised standard, and revised standard को फिर हम compare करेंगे actual के साथ to get the operational variance. लिखिए नीचे बेटा आप इसमें. The traditional way to compute the variance, is comparing the actual detail with the original standard. Comparing the actual detail with the original standard. Next line में लिखे while under logical method of variances, comma, original standard will be compared with the revised standard original standard will be compared with the revised standard to find out uncontrollable portion, of variance, comma, while actual will now be compared with revived standard. Now actual will now be compared with revised standard to find out the controllable portion of variances. क्लियर हुआ बेटा आपको ये? चलिए अब आइए आप स्टडी मैट में। चलिए ये डिटेल जो आपको दिया हुआ है बेटा पेज नंबर सेकेंड एंड पेज नंबर थर्ड में, पेज नंबर सेकेंड से यहां से आपको स्टार्ट करना है प्लानिंग एंड ऑपरेशनल वेरिएंस, और यहां तक आपको एक बार अपने लेवल पर पूरा रीड आउट करना है कि वेदर वॉट एवर वी हैव अंडरस्टूड राइट नाउ has been according to the institute study material. If any new point is given in the institute study material, we'll check it out बेटा ना। तो मैं आपको 3 मिनट्स दे रहा हूं बेटा इस पूरे रीड आउट करने के लिए। पेज नंबर 2 से प्लानिंग और ऑपरेशनल वेरिएंस जो स्टार्ट हो रहा है और पेज नंबर 3 के एंड तक, है ना। 3 मिनट्स आर अवेलेबल विथ यू। हैव अ रीडिंग of the study material related to the content of planning and operational variance. ओके बेटा, रीड आउट कर लिया? तो एक छोटा सा अपडेट और कर लीजिए जो अपने नोट्स में लिखा है, अपने कॉपी में लिखा है। इसको एक और नाम से बोला जाता है, दिस विल बी कॉल्ड एज एक्स एंड दिस विल बी कॉल्ड एज एक्स पोस्ट। नाउ इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग बेटा, how to find out the variances, how to find out the variances in planning and operational variances. The rule will remain same. What is the rule? First tell me. Rule number 1, don't write this beta, just I am writing for your reference. There will be 3 column in case of single raw material, single category of labor, single product, and 4 column in case of 2 or more category of raw material, 2 or more category of labor, and 2 or more product. Okay. The second rule is, in case of raw material, quantity will be standard in first column and quantity will be actual in remaining column. Price will be actual in last column and price will be standard in remaining column. यही पढ़ा था बेटा अभी तक अपन ने. There will be 3 column in case of single raw material. पहले कॉलम में जो क्वांटिटी आएगी that will be the standard one and in the remaining column quantity will be the actual one. Now, till now we have compared the actual with the original standard. Actual with the original standard. While in case of planning variance, we are comparing the original standard with the revised standard. And in case of operational variance, we are comparing the revised standard with the actual one. So keeping the same rule बेटा. अभी आपसे रिक्वेस्ट है, बिल्कुल भी अभी आप मत लिखिएगा बेटा. Don't write down right now. Let first understand and then you should write down बेटा ना. Please have a patience. तो अभी भी यहाँ पे बेटा 3 कॉलम ही बनेंगे, 1, 2 and 3. No doubt about that. If we are calculating planning variance for material, so every column will be a multiplication of 2 factor, quantity into price, and quantity into price. No doubt about that. So there will be 3 column in case of single raw material. Rule number 1 is completed. Every column will be a multiplication of 2 factor, quantity into price. Now listen very carefully beta. In planning variance, we are comparing the standard with the revised standard. There is no role of actual while calculating the planning variance. So please think over it. As per rule number 2, quantity will be standard in case of first column. Whether we are comparing the standard? Yes, we are comparing the standard. So quantity will be standard in case of first column. While as per the rule, quantity will be actual in the remaining column. Quantity will be actual. But in case of planning variance, we are not comparing the actual detail. We are comparing the standard with the revised standard. So can you please communicate, in place of actual, what should I write while calculating the planning variance? It's very simple beta. It's very simple. Rule ये है, quantity first column में standard आती है. Whether we are comparing the standard? Yes, we are comparing the standard. But in the remaining column, quantity will be the actual. But in case of planning variance, we are not comparing the actual detail. In fact, standard will be compared with the revised standard. So my question to you is, in case of remaining column, we don't have the actual quantity. So what should I write instead of that? It's very simple beta. The answer is available in the screen itself. No doubt about that. Please communicate me the answer. Excellent budget means beta the budget prepared at the start of the year. Avinash, the budget prepared at the start of the year. Okay, Nisha, very good, beta. It should be revised standard because we are not comparing the actual detail at the time of planning variance. We are comparing the original standard with the revised standard. So, in the remaining column, the quantity will be the revised standard one. अब चेक कीजिए कोई भी कॉलम हो यू आर कंपेयरिंग स्टैंडर्ड विद द रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड नॉट विद द एक्चुअल है ना फिर रूल ये है इन द लास्ट कॉलम द प्राइस विल बी द एक्चुअल वन एक्चुअल तो हम यहाँ पे कंपेयर कर ही नहीं रहे इन प्लेस ऑफ एक्चुअल वी आर कंपेयरिंग द रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड सो इन द लास्ट कॉलम द प्राइस विल बी द रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड वन while in the remaining column the price will be the standard one आप पूरा स्टेटमेंट चेक कीजिए बेटा in every column you are comparing the standard with the original standard there is no role of actual detail while computing the planning variance okay आपके फॉर्मूले खत्म as simple as this just you have to modify a little bit that in case of planning variance we are not comparing the actual detail in place of actual detail we are comparing the revised standard one that's all बेटा तो देखिए बेटा अब कॉलम नंबर सेकेंड और थर्ड में जो डिफरेंस है वो है सिमिलरिटी जो है दोनों ही कॉलम में रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड क्वांटिटी है बट द डिफरेंस इज in column number 2 the standard price is at the start of the year in column number 3 the standard price is at the market prevailing condition so it will be called as price variance and it will be called as material usage variance same तरीका बेटा same तरीका है ना now I challenge you a challenge is available to you beta for each and every student in case of operational variance we will compare the revised standard not the standard we will compare the revised standard with the actual one है ना and suppose we are computing the material variance so on the rough page please try to fill column number 1 2 and 3 with the new alphabetical detail related to operational variance applying the same rule 3 column in case of single raw material quantity will be the standard in the first column please check whether you are comparing the standard quantity or the revised standard quantity you will get the answer in case of operational variance so I'm giving you better 2 minutes to try on your own it's a request from my side that each and every student should participate in the initial level if you are comfortable na beta then definitely I guarantee you that this chapter will be very very easy very comfortable for you in those 3 hours of examination है ना just you have to practice with me this new methodology of कंप्यूटिंग द वेरिएंसेस है ना तो मैं आपको 2 मिनट दे रहा हूं बेटा एक बार आप ऑपरेशनल वेरिएंस रफ में ट्राई करें देन आई विल गिव यू द टाइम टू कॉपी इट फ्रॉम द स्क्रीन है ना तो 2 मिनट्स आर अवेलेबल विद यू बेटा ओके नवीन कुमार, ओके बेटा निशा, नाउ लेट्स चेक इट आउट बेटा, कैसे होगा देखिए. In case of material variance, every column will be a multiplication of two factor, quantity into price, quantity into price, and quantity into price. This is the very general rule. In the first column, the quantity will be standard, and in the remaining column, the quantity will be actual. Whether we are comparing the actual, yes, we are comparing the actual one, but we are not comparing the actual with the standard. In place of standard, we are comparing with revised standard. So slight change. In the first column, the quantity will be the revised standard one, and in the remaining column, the quantity will be the actual one. In the last column, the price will be the actual, while in the remaining column, the quantity will be the price will be the revised standard one, because in case of operational variance, we are comparing the actual with the revised standard one. क्लियर हुआ बेटा आपको ये? अब ये देखिए, ये वही सेम डिफरेंस, ये यूसेज वेरिएंस कंट्रोलेबल से रिलेटेड, and this is the price variance related to uncontrollable. So it's the usage variance and it's the price variance. As simple as this बेटा, कुछ भी नहीं है, थोड़ा सा आपको मॉडिफाई करना रहेगा. Planning variance, we are comparing the standard with the revised standard. In case of operational, we are comparing actual with the revised standard. Just for that's बेटा, इसके अलावा इसमें कुछ भी नया नहीं है. If you are comfortable with this, then I challenge you, it will be a very, very simple topic for you at final level standard costing, because this methodology of finding out the variance through this statement is very, very simple for students. Okay, beta? Hope you are comfortable with this statement approach of finding out the variances, beta. I'm hoping that this statement approach is comfortable for you. Am I right? Okay. Now let's do some questions from study material related to planning and operational variance. Test your understanding में आइए बेटा, वहां पे we are having 4 questions related to planning and operational variance. Question number 1, question number 2, 3 and 4 are related to planning and operational variance. First of all, we will start with question number 2. Question number 2 बेटा, है ना? Skyflow has planned, when it's originally defined its budget, to buy its artificial ice for 10 rupee per kg. ओरिजिनली डिफाइन इट्स बजट, जब एट द स्टार्ट ऑफ द ईयर में डिसाइड किया था, तो उन्होंने प्लान किया था कि जो उनको आर्टिफिशियल आइस की रिक्वायरमेंट है, दैट विल बी परचेज्ड एट द रेट 10 per kg. हाउएवर, ड्यू टू सब्सिक्वेंट इनोवेशन इन टेक्नोलॉजी, प्रोड्यूसर ऑफ आइस मींस आवर supplier slashed their prices to 9.7 per kg, and this figure is now considered to be a general market price for the purpose of performance assessment for the budget pay. So at the start of the year, you considered that per kg the ice will cost ₹10, but since the supplier innovation, the supplier is ready to provide the same artificial ice at 9.7 per kg. My question to you is, ₹10 is undoubtedly the original standard price of raw material. 9.7 per kg is the revised standard price or the actual price? 9.7. Please think over it, beta, and then answer it to me. 9.7 per kg is the revised standard price per kg, or it's the actual price per kg? Definitely, it's the revised standard. It's the general market price. It's not the actual purchase price. It's the general market price. And it's the revised standard price of raw material. Okay. The actual price paid was 9.5. This is the actual price of raw material. As the Skyflow procurement department negotiate strongly for a better price, the other information related to that period are as follows. ओरिजिनल स्टैंडर्ड दिया है, रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड दिया है और एक्चुअल दिया है हमें. ठीक है, आप देखिए बेटा, यहाँ पे सब दिया हुआ है. ओरिजिनल स्टैंडर्ड में इन्होंने प्राइस रखा है 10 रुपी, रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड में इन्होंने प्राइस रखा है 9.7, और एक्चुअल में इन्होंने प्राइस रखा है 9.5. इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल क्वेश्चन एज कंपेयर टू क्वेश्चन नंबर 1, 3 एंड 4, बिकॉज 1, 3 और 4 में आपको एक स्टेटमेंट बना के नहीं दिया है कि ओरिजिनल स्टैंडर्ड, रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड एंड एक्चुअल, जबकि यहां पे ये चीज आपको रेडीमेड दिया हुआ है क्वेश्चन नंबर 2 में, है ना. माय क्वेश्चन टू यू इज, प्लीज लिसन वेरी केयरफुली बेटा, whether these three columns are comparable, and if they are comparable, yes they are comparable, tell me the reason why we can compare this three column with one another. ये तीनों कॉलम कंपेरेबल क्यों है? I will provide you the answer बेटा, please listen to it. The actual output is 5500 unit and the standard has also been computed considering the same output 5500 unit. In case, suppose the standard has been given for 5000 unit, the revised standard has been given for 5000 unit, while the actual is 5500 unit, then this detail are not at all comparable. ये detail फिर आपस में comparable नहीं होती, because standard will always be computed on the basis of actual output. सो प्लीज रिमेंबर इट बेटा ना, बिकॉज इस टाइप के क्वेश्चन करते करते आप बेसिक जो पॉइंट है ना वो एक्सकेप हो जाता है माइंड से, कि whenever we have to find out the material variance, actual is to be compared with standard. और standard का मतलब क्या? The standard which has been computed based on actual output. The standard which has been computed based on actual output. This might be the standard for 5000 unit, but that is not relevant to us because our standard should be based on actual output. क्लियर हुआ ये आपको? चलिए देखिए, अब आप देखिए बेटा इसमें अब क्या बोला है अपने को आगे. कैलकुलेट द वेरियांसेस फॉर आईज बाय ट्रेडिशनल मेथड, मींस कंपेयरिंग द एक्चुअल विद द स्टैंडर्ड वन, ओरिजिनल स्टैंडर्ड वन, मतलब यहां पे रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड का कोई रोल नहीं है. एन अप्रोच विच डिस्टिंग्विशेस बिटवीन प्लानिंग एंड ऑपरेशनल वेरियांस, फॉर दिस विल बी द प्लानिंग वेरियांस, दिस विल बी द ऑपरेशनल वेरियांस. तो ठीक है बेटा, एक आपके लिए चैलेंज है ना. Just you understood the concept, so why not you try on your own this particular question number 2 in rough page. Don't worry about the mistake, but I request you, don't worry about the mistake. If you will provide your 100%, I am quite confident that your answer will be very close to the correct answer, है ना. एक बार ट्राई कीजिए बेटा, ट्राई करने में आपको कुछ भी खोना नहीं है. Definitely in this process you will learn how to prepare that statement, what detail is to be filled up. So it's very necessary you should try first. So first of all, traditional variance. Traditional variance में वही 3 कॉलम बनेंगे, सेम वही चीज. Actual will be compared with the standard one. While in case of planning, standard will be compared with the revised standard, and in operational, revised standard will be compared with actual. तो पूरा टाइम है बेटा आपके, आप 5 मिनट्स का टेक योर टाइम and try to complete this question as much as you can in those 5 minutes बेटा ना. It's very very important that you must try, so that इसका फायदा क्या होगा? The biggest advantage, in those 5 minutes you will apply your mind, है ना. Some confusion will be there, and once you have provided your 100%, and thereafter when we combinedly solve this question, you will be able to solve your query yourself बेटा ना. तो बहुत जरूरी है कि आप अपने लेवल पे इसको ट्राई कीजिए. मैं आपको पूरे 5 मिनट दे रहा हूं इस क्वेश्चन को ट्राई करने के लिए. कीजिए बेटा, रफ पेज में ट्राई कीजिए. क्वेश्चन नंबर 2. Give your more than 100% to solve this question, beta. चलिए बेटा स्टार्ट करूं तो देखिए बात, सबसे पहले हम ट्रेडिशनल वेरिएंस की बात करते हैं। ट्रेडिशनल वेरिएंस में वी विल कंपेयर द एक्चुअल विद द ओरिजिनल स्टैंडर्ड, है ना। तो ट्रेडिशनल वेरिएंस में, ट्रेडिशनल वेरिएंस, what we will do, we will compare the standard set at the start of the year with the actual one. Okay, so there are only a single category of raw material, so there will be 3 column, column number 1, column number 2, column number 3. Okay, in case of material it will be a multiplication of quantity into price, quantity into price, quantity into price. Comfortable beta? Okay. In the first column, quantity will be the standard one. Whether we are comparing standard, yes, we are comparing standard. And in the remaining column, the quantity will be actual. Whether we are comparing the actual, yes, we are comparing the actual in case of traditional method. The last will be the actual price and the remaining will be the standard price. That's all beta. Same tarika. And this will be the total variance. Column number 1 and column number 3 will be the total variance. So each and every detail is being given in the question. What is the standard quantity? It's 5500 into 5 multiplied by standard price of 10. What is the actual quantity? 27,225 into 10. 27,225 into 9.5. Okay, this is material cost variance. This is material usage variance. This is material price variance. Now, how to prevent it? Like this, you have to prevent the same in the examination, that material usage variance is equal to column number 1 minus column number 2. Write down the amount of column number 1 minus column number 2. You will get the variance and denote it with adverse or favorable symbol. That's all beta. Presentation, this is the working note, while this is the main answer. You have to write it. Material price variance. Material price variance is equal to column number 2 minus column number 3. समझ में आया बेटा? पहला पार्ट आपका कंप्लीट होता है. If we find out the variances to traditional method, we will compare the actual with the standard one, or standard matlab the standard set at the start of the year. Okay, now The modern method that each and every variance should be bifurcated into two parts, प्लानिंग वेरियांस एंड ऑपरेशनल वेरियांस. तो इसी क्वेश्चन को अब हमें अगर प्लानिंग वेरियांस के द्वारा करना है, प्लानिंग वेरियांस, फॉर माय रिकमेंडेशन टू यू इज whenever you are about to start the planning variance, always write down the formula first. In planning variance, you will compare the standard with the revised standard. ये लिख देने से the biggest advantage is you will not commit error related to the actual data while calculating the planning variance. Okay, beta. So there will be three column: column 1, column 2, and column 3. In case of material, every column will be a multiplication of two factor: quantity into price, quantity into price. In first column, we are having standard quantity, while in the remaining column, we will be having actual. But we are not comparing the actual. In place of actual, we are comparing the revised standard quantity. In the last column, the price will be the actual, but we are not comparing the actual. In place of actual, we are having the revised standard price, while in the remaining column, the price will be the standard price. That's all, beta. है ना? FQ आपको दिया हुआ है 5500 into 5 multiply by 10. RFQ भी आपको दिया हुआ है, देखिए 5500 into 4.75 multiply by 10. 5500 into 4.75, while the revised standard price is 9.7. This will give you the uncontrollable usage variance, and this will give you the uncontrollable price variance. So this is usage uncontrollable, this is price uncontrollable. ऐसा है बेटा. So a very simple way, as per my knowledge, to solve the chapter of standard costing, this statement approach, है ना? Just you have to modify a little bit according to the planning and operational and traditional variance, and that's all, है ना बेटा? ये हो गया आपका planning variance. फिर तरीका वही रहेगा बेटा ना, ये this is the working note, while the main answer should be planning usage variance is equal to column number 1 minus column number 2. तरीका आपको ये प्रेजेंट करना है, बस this is the working note, है ना? Now operational variance. Operational variance. In operational variance, we will compare the revised standard. We will compare the revised standard with the actual one. तो जहां जहां पे भी अब standard word आएगा, we will replace that word with the revised standard. So again, there will be three columns. In case of material, every column will be a multiplication of quantity multiplied by price. In the first column, the quantity will be revised standard, because we are not comparing the standard. In place of that, we are comparing the revised standard. Actual price and revised standard price. ठीक है बेटा, अब डिटेल पुट अप कर लीजिए आप. 5500 into 4.75 into 9.7, 27225. Revised standard price is 9.7. 27225 multiplied by 9.5. This is something we called usage, and this is price. So these are the controllable portion of the variances that has been computed under traditional method. Any doubt, beta, in this particular question? You can ask the same. Any doubt, beta, in this particular question in the methodology of planning and operational variance? Please give me the indication so that I can move further towards the first question, or we can discuss the issue faced by the student. Can we move towards question number 1, beta, related to planning and operational variance? Please revert with yes or no, beta. You are having any doubt, please ask the doubt. If you are not having any doubt, then you can say yes, sir. Please proceed further towards question number 1. Okay, Priya, no doubt. Naveen Kumar, no doubt. Everything is clear. Okay, beta. I am assuming that other student is also having no doubt. So we will move towards question number 1. चलिए स्टार्ट करते हैं बेटा ना. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1. क्वेश्चन नंबर 1 अभी करें या क्वेश्चन नंबर 3 वी कैन डू इट राइट नाउ. Okay, we will do question number 4 right now because we will be short of time when we do question number 1 today. Na? In the next session, definitely we will do question number 1 and 3. Let's start question number 4, beta. Question number 4. The same approach will be followed by me. After the reading, you will be given the time to solve this question on your own, and then we will combinedly discuss the solution part. Company AGF is a chemical processing company that produces spray used by farmer to protect the crop. So the company name is AGF. It is in the manufacturing of spray that is being used by the farmer. One of the spray, AgroFresh, is made by using either chemical A or chemical B. So one of the product name as AgroFresh. It require either chemical A or chemical B. Both material are suitable. We can use any of them. To produce 1 liter of the product spray, they have the option to use either 12 liter of chemical A or 12 liters of chemical B. So quantity का input दोनों ही material का same है. If we are using chemical A, 12 liters of chemical A are required for 1 unit of output. If we are using chemical B, then even 12 liters are required to produce 1 unit of output. During the financial year, the purchase department of company has planned to use chemical B as it appears that it would be cheaper of the two. And their plan were based on a cost of chemical B of 15 per liter. Please understand the question very carefully, beta. We are in the business of manufacturing spray. One of the spray named AgroFresh can be made either from chemical A, either from chemical B. Quantity requirement is almost similar. 12 liters are required of chemical A, and if we don't use chemical A, we can use chemical B. 12 liters are required. So decision will be based on the price per liter of chemical A and chemical B. Definitely the chemical which is having low price will be preferred over the other because the quantity consumption is same, the quality is same. So the purchase department has planned in the budget to use chemical B because at that particular time, chemical B is supposed to be cheaper of the two, and the price is 15 per liter at that particular point of time of decision making. Okay. Due to the subsequent market movement during the year, the actual price change, and if the concerned department has purchased efficiently, the cost would have been chemical A 15.4 liter, chemical B 16 per liter. I am giving you 1 minute time, beta. Please read out this point once again and tell me whether this price is the actual price or the revised standard price. 1 minute is available with you. Provide me the answer whether this is the revised standard price or it's the actual price. Okay, Sairam. Okay, Priya. Very good, beta. It's the revised standard price because of the word. If the concerned department have purchased efficiently, if they purchased efficiently, then the price would be. So they keep it out. Now, chemical A can be purchased at 15.4, while chemical B has been purchased at rupees 16. Now, please understand the question very carefully. At the start of the year, chemical A was costlier than chemical B. Therefore, company has planned for chemical B as it was cheaper than chemical A. At that point of time, chemical B was 15 rupee per liter. But due to the market movement, the price changes. And if the purchase department has purchased efficiently, then definitely 16 rupee per liter will have to be incurred. But we are left the best option, that is the chemical A. हमने chemical A को select ही नहीं किया, while at the during the year we came to know that chemical A, due to the market movement, chemical A is now cheaper as compared to chemical B, but we have still used chemical B, and the efficient purchase price, revised standard price, is 16 rupee per liter. Okay. Production of agrofresh was 1000 liter. This is the actual output. And usage of chemical B was 12,800 liter at a cost of 2,09,920. है ना? तो अब आपको क्या करना है, ट्रेडिशनल मेथड से और प्लानिंग एंड ऑपरेशनल वेरिएंसेस को बाइफरकेट करना है. तो देखिए बेटा, अगर मैं इसको समराइज करना चाहूं, इफ यू वांट टू समराइज इट, फर्स्टली यू हैव टू प्रिपेयर अ स्टेटमेंट लाइक दिस. This is just for our convenience, nothing related with the question solution part, है ना? This is just for our convenience, बेटा. This is the original standard. This is the revised standard. And this is the actual. Okay. So price of chemical B. Price of chemical B. It's rupees 15 at the time of original standard. It's rupees 16 at the time of revised standard. And we have been given the detail that 2,09,600, 2,09,920 divided by 12,800. Please provide me the answer, beta. 2,09,920 divided by 12,800. What is the actual price? What is the actual price? Okay, it's 16.4. Thank you, Nisha. It's 16.4. Output is 1000 units. Quantity is 12,600. 12,600 है कि 800 है बेटा? It's 12,800. Okay, it's 12,800 AQ, actual quantity of raw material used. It's 12,800. Okay, and standard will be determined on the basis of actual output. Actual output is 1000. For every quantity, we require 12 liter. For the standard quantity as well as the revised standard will remain same, because there is no change in the quantity consumption. Just the planning and operational variance is due to price movement in the market. So 12,000, 1,000 into 12, and here also 1,000 into 12. Now, while calculating variances under traditional method, you compare actual with the original standard one. And in case of modern method, original standard will be compared with revised standard, and revised standard will be compared with actual. So I will provide you beta a complete time of 5 minutes. Please try to solve this question on your own. Once you solve this question, I will provide a very good learning on a very new point relating to chemical A. Right now, forget about chemical A. Whatever you learned, it's time of application. That yes, we have already covered more than 60 minutes of this particular topic, planning and operational variance. Now we will deal with confidence. हम कॉन्फिडेंटली इस क्वेश्चन को सॉल्व कर सकते हैं। तो मैं देता हूं बेटा आपको 5 मिनट, प्लीज ट्राई ऑन योर ओन इन रफ पेज प्लानिंग एंड ऑपरेशनल वेरिएंस along with the traditional variance also, है ना। 5 minutes are available with you बेटा। Okay, let's start the beta. So in traditional variance, traditional method of variance, we are computing there will be 3 columns, quantity into price. In traditional, we are comparing the standard with the actual one. Okay, so standard quantity, and actual quantity, actual price, standard price. Okay, so standard quantity has already been computed, 12,000. What is the standard price of raw material at the start of the year? 15 rupee. Actual quantity is 12,800 into 15, and actual quantity is 12,800 into 16.4. So very simple calculation related to traditional method. Nothing more to discuss about this point. Now, regarding the planning variance. Something new is there in this particular point, planning variance. We will compare the standard with the revised standard. We will compare the standard with the revised standard. So there will be 3 columns. So in case of material, it will be a multiplication of quantity into price. First column standard quantity. Since we are not comparing the actual quantity, the second and third column will be having revised standard quantity, revised standard price and standard price. Now fill the detail beta. The quantity will remain same. There is no change in the material. The standard price is ₹15, while the actual price, not the actual price, the market prevailing price is ₹16. So there will be no usage variance because we have not changed the raw material content during the period. The same raw material is being used. While the price variance, there will be adverse variance of 12,000 adverse. कोई डाउट बेटा इसमें? बढ़ूं आगे. नाउ अब अगर मैं कंट्रोलेबल ऑपरेशनल की बात करूं, कंट्रोलेबल पोर्शन की अगर मैं बात करूं, फॉर द रिवाइज स्टैंडर्ड will be compared, the revised standard will be compared with the actual one. क्लियर है बेटा? सो ध्यान दीजिए, यहां पे भी अब वही कॉलम बनेंगे हमारे. टू सेव द टाइम आई एम राइटिंग इट डायरेक्टली बेटा, टू सेव द टाइम. It's actual quantity into actual sale price. Okay. So the revised standard quantity is 12,000. Actual quantity is 12,800. Multiply by 16. Multiply by 16. It's the actual price. Actual price is 16.4. So it will be the usage variance and it will be the price variance. Okay. Nothing special we have done as compared to the last question. Now a very, very special point. जो हमने क्वेश्चन नंबर सेकंड किया था, in which we are having the only choice to use that raw material. While in this particular question, we are having choice at the start of the budget period whether to use chemical A or chemical B. At the start of the year, we have decided to use chemical B since it was cheaper at that particular point of time. But during the market movement, it appears that the material you have used, that is chemical B, is costlier as compared to the revised market price of chemical A. So now this is very, very important, beta. This is very important. Now this 12,000 is again to be bifurcated. हमने इसको भी 12,000 को क्या बोला? Uncontrollable portion. But in this 12,000, some portion is still controllable, and that portion is, had you have not decided to use chemical B, instead of that you decided to use chemical A, then definitely out of 12,000 you can save certain amount of money, है ना? तो देखिए बेटा, 16 रुपी में आपने chemical B की revised price है. If you have correctly identified chemical A to be used, then chemical A revised price is 15.4. तो आपके 60 पैसे पर केजी मल्टीप्लाई बाय 12,000, 7,200 रुपी अभी भी आपके कंट्रोलेबल पोर्शन में था. बट सिंस यू आर डिसाइडेड टू यूज केमिकल बी इंस्टीड ऑफ केमिकल ए, दैट्स व्हाई वी हैव टू इनकर एक्स्ट्रा ₹7,200. होप यू आर अंडरस्टैंडिंग दिस पॉइंट बेटा. लास्ट क्वेश्चन में we don't have any choice. The only material is to be used. But in this case, we are having choice of chemical A or chemical B. We have choose chemical B since it was cheaper at that time. But due to the market movement, it appeared that chemical A in fact was cheaper. So we have utilized chemical B. Undoubtedly, the revised market price of chemical B is 16. Had we have utilized chemical A for our output, we would have saved 60 paise. So out of this 12,000 adverse, 72 adverse is controllable portion, while the remaining 4,800 is still uncontrollable. समझ में आया बेटा ये पॉइंट? ये बहुत बहुत अच्छा पॉइंट है, क्योंकि यहां पे आपके पास चॉइस थी. जो आपने मटेरियल चूज किया वो ड्यूरिंग द ईयर पाया गया कि वो ज्यादा कॉस्टलियर मटेरियल है एज कंपेयर टू द मटेरियल यू लेफ्ट. So out of that 15 minus 16, 60 paise is still controllable. So the controllable is this amount, 16 minus 16.4 along with 7,200 rupee of planning variance is still controllable. Any doubt beta in this particular discussion? A very, very important discussion. सबसे स्पेशल पॉइंट था ये वाला. You can ask the doubt beta. I'm waiting. Please revert beta if you are having any doubt. That's a very special point, है ना? Although we have used chemical B, undoubtedly there is a price movement of 15 to 16, 1 rupee. But had we select the chemical A, we could save 60 paise. So 60 paise is still controllable in that portion of uncontrollable, that is planning variance. Okay, beta. No one is having any doubt. Okay, beta. Let hope it is clear to you now. Question number one. Question number one is almost similar to this question. So it will be assignment for you because it will make you again revise the concept of planning and operational variance on your own. So question number one is almost similar. Question number one is almost similar. You have to do this particular question on your own. If you are facing any doubt in this particular question number one, we will check it out on next session. And we will complete question number third in the next session along with a new topic, learning curve in ABC, learning curve in standard costing, and how to compute variance in ABC environment. So there are different new topic that we will understand in the next session, beta. So thank you for watching the session. Have a great day ahead, beta. Thanks a lot. Thank you.